What is going on, everybody? We are back after a short time off. This is the Itz Gametime podcast. I am Jett. As always, I'm with Eric. Eric, how you doing?
I'm doing pretty well. I mean, we switched the scheduling up just so we didn't oversaturate the market. So now, if you don't know, hopefully you guys do know, but if you don't know, we're now going episodes every Friday, so we can give you guys the entire week and especially the weekend to listen to it. And we're recording on Wednesday, so just forewarning, some of the stuff that we talked about may have already happened by the time of the release. But so yeah, that's the new schedule plan, but we're still doing it. Just wanted to make sure that you guys could probably hopefully keep up with us now.
Yeah, and instead of obviously doing 2 shows a week, since we're only doing 1 show a week now, Eric is going to be planning the first part of the show, and I'm going to be planning the second part of the show. And Eric, you want to just talk about where you're going to be talking about in your half of the show?
Yeah, we'll play here. We got a question of the day, as always, talking about like fans' treatment towards players, because obviously that has been happening weirdly a lot in these playoffs. I want to go over the ESPN mock Julio Jones trades that they presented. And if we have time, I want to talk about the Trailblazers Nuggets playoff series, in which then, Jett, what will you be doing for your half of the show?
Yeah, so my MLB power rankings are back for another week. And as always, there is some parity within the rankings just because baseball is such a long season and teams can move up and down standings pretty much every day because there's so many games. So you'll have to stay tuned for that later in the show.
Yes, but first, let's Jett, you want to go over some Instagram responses that we got over this past week?
Yeah, let me just pull them up really quickly here. I mean, we had a lot of good ones. Some I was surprised to hear the answers on. Like this one is actually, some of the responses this one are pretty funny. We asked, where do you think Aaron Rodgers will end up? And I like this answer a lot. Lindsay G155 said Hawaii, which is very possible.
I think she's like number one on the list of people that respond.
Oh yeah, she pretty much responds to every question, and her responses are pretty good. So we got to give it to her.
I think as a Bears fan, she hopes that he ends up in Hawaii.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah, I mean, you said that he's gonna stay with the Packers, but maybe the Steelers as a sneaky pick. You want to elaborate on that?
I just think, did Big Ben get an extension? I feel did he? He
signed like a 1-year extension, but he also took a pay cut. So
okay, I mean, maybe like they would trade Big Ben along with other players and get Aaron Rodgers in return, in which then Green Bay still has a QB to play with for this coming season if they were to trade him to the Steelers instead of just immediately start Jordan Love. But I could not. I mean, obviously the Broncos are the first go-to answer, in which, I mean, do you know how many responses that we got for that?
I mean, I picked the Broncos. A couple other people picked the Broncos, but this one I'm really intrigued to hear what you think about. Cooper, who goes to our school, said that he's going to be retired.
Wow. No, he won't. I just don't see that, because that's losing so much money. That's losing millions of dollars.
But does he really need more money than he already has?
When that much money's on the table, you don't just turn away from it. Like, I think it's like 35 million or 32 million. You don't just turn away from that because you don't like the situation that you're in.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with that. I just wanted to hear what your thoughts on were some of those answers, just because we got some good ones. But the next question we had is, because our last show we had our friend Josh on to talk about Zach Wilson and his Jets. So we asked, who would you have drafted, Zach Wilson and Justin Fields? 10 people to 3 said Justin Fields, which I think we both can agree with.
Oh yeah, I think for some reason I do not understand why Justin Fields fell in like the QB rankings. I mean, I don't know who started it or how it got started, but Zach Wilson was at some point placed over Justin Fields, and then there was speculation that What did I say? I said Zach Wilson,
Zach
right?
Wilson, yeah,
Okay.
over, yeah.
And then Mac Jones was starting to get put over top of him. And then there was also Trey Lance was starting to be talked about, like on the similar field. I'm not taking anything away from Trey Lance or Mac Jones, but I just think that Justin Fields is way more NFL caliber type of player. Like he's ready to go more so than Mac Jones and Trey Lance.
Yeah, I don't think there was any good justification for picking just Zach Wilson over Justin Fields. I don't know how that ended up happening. I mean, I don't really think Justin Fields did anything wrong to make him be the third or fourth quarterback taken, whatever, fourth quarterback taken. But it's interesting. We'll see how it ends up turning out. But our final question that I want to get to is we asked, who is the face of the MLB right now? And like I said, we'll be touching on some baseball later in the show. But 6 people said that Mike Trout is the face of the MLB, and 3 people said Fernando Tatis Jr. is. What are your thoughts on that?
It was 5-3, correct?
6-3 in Trout's favor.
I think people kind of got misinterpreted the question, maybe, in which the face of baseball doesn't mean, I don't think, means the best player in baseball.
Not at all, no.
Best player in baseball is Mike Trout. But the face of baseball, when you the face of baseball, I feel like if you go to other countries, not the U.S., in which baseball is very prominent, like Latin American countries, not just saying this because Fernando Tatis is in touch with Latin American countries. It's just that they would probably be able to point out, they would say Fernando Tatis Jr. instead of Mike Trout. They may not even, I mean, I think they would know Mike Trout, but where is Fernando Tatis Jr. from?
I'm pretty sure he's from the Dominican, but I was doing some research today for the Padres for later on, but I'm pretty sure that's where he's from.
Let me look. He is from the Dominican Republic. So yeah, I think that people kind of got it. Like we didn't mean the best player. Not always the best player deserves the face.
But I mean, we both can agree he's the more exciting player just because he has more flair to his game and swagger, and like everything that he does is pretty much must-see TV, I think.
Oh yeah, definitely. But some news, a lot of two big things dropped today. Coach K is going to retire after this upcoming season at Duke, in which he follows Williams from North Carolina a year after, it seems like.
Yeah, it's very, very interesting that Coach K decided to announce that he will be retiring before the season. Before the season even started, to announce that this will be his last year, considering that like some coaches will just say at the end of a season, "Oh, I'm done." But I guess he wants a little bit of a retirement tour, which is definitely well deserved. But I'm curious to hear, like, if you think Duke not being in the tournament last year has anything does this factor into his decision?
Well, maybe. Was it in 2019? Who did they have in 2019? Did they have they had Zion.
Zion and
Zion and RJ. And RJ and Cam Reddish. And then I think even their 2020 class wasn't insane. So I'm wondering if this is kind of going to be a dry spell period for the Duke men's basketball program. Depending on, now they don't, what they got the biggest recruitments from is from having Coach K. I mean, he is the biggest recruiter in probably college basketball, and now you lose your biggest recruiter.
I did hear that the guy that's leading the race to become the next head coach was very instrumental in recruiting guys like Jason Tatum. So maybe their recruiting will still be just as good if they can, get the guy. I don't know the guy's name that I read somewhere, but we'll have to just see what happens with Duke. I still think they're going to be a very successful basketball team without Coach K, though.
I don't know, man. I'm just, I don't think Virginia is, I think, going to be a better basketball program. Virginia Tech is on the uprise also. Just
start listing all the schools from around you, and then we'll talk about those.
Oh, yeah. I remember I looked over the way too early power rankings for men's college basketball, and I think they have Virginia Tech at like in the top 10.
What about is there Roanoke Community College gonna make some waves around the college basketball landscape?
It's Roanoke College, but they're D3. But and then they also have UNC's in the ACC too. So I think they're going to hit a dry spell for a while. Even this coming year, I feel as though in Coach K's retirement year, I still think that they're going to hit a dry spell. But then the other big news that dropped today is that Danny Ainge is stepping down from
President of basketball operations.
And then Brad Stevens is getting promoted, I guess you could say, to that position from the head coaching job. So now they have to find a head coach. Luckily, I guess they thought Brad Stevens was good enough. What do you think about those moves?
Well, I mean, there were reports out there that Brad Stevens, ever since the bubble, had just gotten like tired of coaching, and it's just not the same energy that he used to have. I mean, he hadn't taken this team to a finals. They were in, I believe, 2 or more Eastern Conference finals, but they were never able to get to the finals. I do think Brad Stevens was a very good coach. I don't know how this is going to transfer into the basketball operations side of it, but it should be interesting to see who they target as a head coach. I know there were reports maybe like someone like Evan Turner, former basketball player, was maybe linked to it, but he denied it. So we'll have to see what happens. But what do you think about this?
I think I wouldn't, and for the Danny Ainge, like, I guess, career as the president of basketball operations, I wouldn't say this is like a failure on his part. I think they kind of got hit with some bad luck. Especially in the playoffs. I think he put together a really good squad. I mean, Gordon Hayward broke his ankle like 10 minutes into playing as a Celtics, and hasn't been the same since. I mean, remember, prior to that, he was signed. The Celtics paid him because he was an all-star in the West with the Jazz. So, I mean, he was really good, and then he breaks his ankle, and then they traded for Kyrie, and Kyrie just didn't want to play there, obviously, because there's things being said that the fans for the Boston Celtics make some racial comments and stuff like that. So, obviously, that would push some players away, and the same thing happened with Kawhi Leonard, too. He didn't want to play there. The same thing happened with AD. When he was depending on where, still didn't know where he was going to get traded to. He said his dad came out and said, if he goes to the Celtics, he's walking the next year. So it would have been a waste of a trade for the Celtics. Obviously, they didn't. But I think on Brad Stevens' part, I think he did a pretty good job. He took him to 3 conference finals, and I mean, he got hit with some bad luck. I mean, sometimes you need luck to make it all the way to the finals, and sadly enough, he didn't. I mean, I'm interested to see how he does it's a whole new landscape. Instead of dealing with players and stuff like that, now you have to deal with agents of the players, and that's a whole nother beast that he'll have to deal with. And I mean, I wish him the best of luck. I think he'll do good. I hope he does good. He seems very intelligent and knowing where the good players are and what they're good at and what roles they can fill for the team.
One last thought I'll add about this is there was always a very big competition between Danny Ainge and Heat Vice President Pat Riley, going back and forth. They always would say things about each other, but I think we can both agree that Pat Riley, since he outlasted Danny Ainge in the basketball operations department, Pat Riley is the better general manager per se of a NBA team.
I mean, that's a little biased from you, but I'll have to agree with that. But to continuing on, we got to talk about LeBron and the Lakers. Jett, I mean, you texted me asking like, "Oh, can we kind of fit this in a little bit?" And I was like, "Yeah, we can fit it in because it's definitely something to talk about." So, Jett, what do you have to say? I mean, it probably won't be worth it, but what do you have to say?
Well, I first wanted to talk about, like, even though the Lakers didn't have Anthony Davis last night, they should have been able to put on a better performance than what they did. I mean, I know at one point they were down what? They were down 30 plus points
They
for
lost
the
by
majority of the game.
They
Yeah.
lost 30.
They lost, yeah, so they lost by 30. But I mean, to lose by 30, but still you have the, in your opinion, probably the greatest basketball player of all time if they win this year.
Yeah.
But he still should have been able to carry more weight than what he
No.
did on the court. And by the way, I just want to point out that LeBron looked very, very bad walking off the court with 5+ minutes left in the
Oh
game.
my gosh.
I don't care if he needed treatment for wherever he was sore, wherever he was hurting, but you need to stay on the court with your teammates. It's just not a good look. He's just coming off as very entitled, and these kinds of things that he does just really pisses me off.
No. Okay. He walked off the court with 6 minutes left. All right. 6 minutes, and still had the most minutes played in the game. The next highest was Dennis Schroeder with 26.
That doesn't mean you walk off the court.
No, it doesn't matter. I'm sorry. And guess what? He was like how can you can't just, I don't care. You can't just sit there and accept that your starting point guard and your starting shooting guard combined with 0 points. Dennis Schroeder went 0 for 9 from the field, 0 for 4 from 3. And Kentavious Caldwell-Pope went 0 for 1. He just took one shot the entire game. Okay.
No, I'm not saying it's all on LeBron. Obviously, these other guys had to step up, but I don't think like Anthony Davis wasn't the only issue, and LeBron wasn't the only issue. I think we both can agree on that. But it just bothers me about the LeBron thing walking off the court. That's the only thing.
I can't. I get it. I get where he's coming from. Would I have done that? Probably not. But I completely get it.
You have morals. That's why.
No, he has morals, and these. I mean, he's playing with scrubs right now. The next highest scorer, he only had 2 other guys that scored in double digits. He's working with scrubs. Kyle Kuzma was the second leading scorer with 15 points.
I mean, he's dealing with scrubs, yet you pick them to be in the finals. So
he's dealing with scrubs now, but he had AD at the beginning. I mean, the Lakers were projected, you can agree, when AD was healthy before he got injured, to win this series.
Yeah, I mean, I picked them. So
exactly. Okay, just look at this, all right? If you look at the starting lineups between the Suns and the Lakers, all of the Lakers starters except LeBron would be bench pieces for the Suns. It's legitimately a 4-on-1 battle pretty much.
Yeah, but if Anthony Davis played the game, you think they win?
This game?
Yeah, this past game.
No, he's injured. I don't even expect him to come back.
No, but if he was fully healthy and played,
I expected them to win last game. Okay. They would probably be up. What would it be? It was 2-2. They would be up 3-1.
Yeah.
Exactly. And they probably may have, if he was healthy, the series would have ended tonight. Last night, I would have guessed. I watched this game, the first half. It was awful. I mean, LeBron was all by himself. I mean, I got to give him credit. He went 9 for 19 from the field, but he went 6 of 10 from 3. I mean, he was all alone out there, and you can see. I don't care if it looks like he doesn't have any effort on the court right now, like in the middle of a game. No one else is giving him their best effort at all. So why the hell should he?
Okay, well, I mean, I think we also have to give a lot of credit to the Suns. Even with the the garbage we're talking about on the Lakers starting lineup, the Suns have still showed up and they still have looked the part, and with a lot of questions going into this postseason. So I think the kudos to them for showing up throughout this series. And I think you gotta give credit where credit's due.
No, because see, Chris Paul only scored 9 points. DeAndre Ayton only scored 8 points. Miles Bridges, right? Is it Miles for the Suns?
No, it's
or is it?
It's not. I don't think it's Miles, but
Malik Bridges for the Suns only scored 13 points. Jay Crowder only scored 9 points. Booker scored 30 points, but then their second highest score was Cameron Payne with 16. The Suns, the Suns really did not like blow it out of the waters. It was more of that the Lakers played like shit, except for LeBron. I mean, are you kidding me here? It's awful. You know it's bad when Jared Dudley gets minutes.
I don't know. I mean, I think I know we both like the Lakers' chances.
-2.
Yeah, I get that, but
he didn't do anything.
The Suns. I mean, the Suns. Even prior to this game, they were still playing at the level to the Lakers for most of the series, even with AD on the court.
Oh my God! I'm saying I probably wouldn't have done with what LeBron did, but man, and I don't want to hear. I've seen people say like, "Oh, MJ would never do that." MJ never had to do that. MJ never had this supporting cast like this. This supporting cast is awful. This is like the 2018 cast.
Well, yeah, because LeBron, the GM, also failed too. So
no, absolutely not.
Oh, and LeBron, calls the shots in the front office too.
No, he doesn't.
Know that.
That is a hoax. That is not true.
I know he did it in Miami, and I'm not afraid to say that.
He did it in Miami, and then he saw how it didn't work out, so he stopped doing it. But damn, can he not get his own Scottie Pippen? You can't say AD is, because you know why? AD's always hurt, and AD doesn't care as much as LeBron does about basketball. Pippen cared as much as MJ did. That's what he's been looking for his entire career, is looking for a Scottie Pippen.
I wouldn't say AD doesn't care. I mean, you can't control injuries.
He didn't come in. He wasn't in basketball shape at the beginning of the season. That's why he got injured. He tried to play himself into shape. And the closest person to it was D Wade, but D Wade wasn't in his prime.
No, I get what you're saying, but
Kyrie, at the Cavs, I don't know what was going on with Kyrie when he was with the Cavs. Kevin Love was not Timberwolves Kevin Love, and Chris Bosh just was the third scoring option. He's never in the same tier as Scottie Pippen, and AD is always injured. Always. It was an outlier last season because he had 4.5 months off.
Yeah, I mean, I get what you're saying, but I still think LeBron's never going to pass MJ. So,
well, not anymore. I mean, because he's not going to get to the finals.
No, but in general, like even years ahead from now, like no matter what he does.
I mean, no, I think it's done after this.
Okay,
unless he goes, through a gauntlet of just insane teams that he somehow beats single-handedly, in which you can't expect that from a guy in his 17th season. You can't expect that.
Makes sense, yeah. But do we have time to talk about those fans across the NBA? Or
so the question of the day is why the hell are fans mistreating these players? I mean, First, it was Westbrook. He got popcorn poured all over him when he was just leaving the game in Philadelphia. Then it was Trae Young. It's not an accusation anymore. The fan got banned for life from MSG. He got spit on. And then Kyrie, at the end of a Celtics game,
a water bottle was thrown at him.
I mean, what? Were these fans not like disciplined as kids?
Oh my God. I swear I had that in my notes to say it. And it's ridiculous. I want to just say, like, these fans that have done these things, they're losers. I mean, that's like a good way to sum it up. Like you said, they were not disciplined as kids. No respect for these athletes. They treat them like objects instead of people. And the spitting thing, it just blows my mind how someone could just do that. Like, That's just totally crossing the line. It's
that is like that. People will try and will get charged with assault for spitting on people, because it is assault. I mean, it is assault. Spitting on someone, that's just, you're scum if you do that. That's it. That's all you are. You're scum. Just because you were cooped up in your house for maybe over around a year, does not mean that your manners go out the window while you stay inside.
I mean, we've been seeing this not only in the NBA, but there's been so many fights in baseball within the fans, among the fans,
You
and
see, like in like the minor leagues, a pitcher hit a batter, and then there was a fan that charged onto the field trying to fight the pitcher. I mean, and then and then the third baseman came in and trucked the dude.
That was I saw that was insane to watch. But I don't like like you said, people, even though that people have been inside for way too long, they're finally getting back into these arenas. There's still no excuse for doing any of these things. People seem to just be losing their minds when they're at some of these sporting events. I mean, I'm all for like players heckling and saying things to players as long as they're not crossing a certain line. But I know the NBA is like instituting some other protocols that has to do with fans. So hopefully this can be maintained going forward.
Yeah, I mean, oh my gosh, it's so bad. It's so bad. It doesn't make sense. It does not make sense at all. I just don't get it. It's so dumb. It's idiotic. Those fans are just idiots.
I mean, most of them are probably, and I know it's not an excuse either. They're all probably drunk and drinking at these games, but still like to have some level of control. But
the guy that dropped the popcorn on Westbrook was a season ticket holder.
Oh my God.
Congratulations. You're never going to a Sixers game again. Because
they think they're not going to get caught when there's millions of cameras all around the stadiums able to zoom in on who it is. I mean, these people are idiots.
Oh my gosh. Yes. I mean, it's discipline your kids. I'll make sure my kids are disciplined because damn sure I'm not going to let that happen.
That's the message everyone should take away from this episode, to discipline your kids.
Discipline your kids. But let's move on to the ESPN mock draft Julio Jones trades. All right. So there's 4 teams that they did. The first team that I'm going to present to you, Jett, is the Baltimore Ravens, in which they did the mock of the Ravens would send the Falcons a 2022 second round pick and the Chiefs 2022 fifth round pick. The Falcons, though, would pick up $4 million of Julio Jones's $15.3 million guaranteed salary in 2021. What would you say to that quality of a trade between the teams? Don't think about Julio being affected at all.
Well, I mean, I think that trade is great for both teams. I think that the Ravens are probably the best fit for Julio, in my opinion. I would love to see that happen. What picks did you say were going to the Falcons?
It would be next year's 2022 second round pick, and then the Chiefs 2022 fifth round pick.
Yeah, I'm just gonna say this now. I would not give a first round pick for Julio. I think it's too late in his career for him to be worth a first round pick. I know he still can be very productive on the field, but for a team to acquire him, I would not spend more than a first round pick.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is a pretty fair deal for both teams since Julio is 33 years old, and they would have him till he's 35, with his contract extension. But for Julio, I think that this would not be the best place to go to personally, but for Lamar Jackson, I think it would be great for him. I mean, I think it would highly improve his throwing capabilities. If the Ravens were to acquire Julio Jones through trade, this would be more for Lamar Jackson, obviously. Right now, the Ravens really just don't have a clear set number one wide receiver. I mean, they have Marquise Brown, but he still hasn't proven.
And they recently drafted Rashad Bateman, but like none of those guys are the answer. I mean, I know we haven't seen Bateman play, but for what it seems, I don't think they're going to be the answer.
If they traded for him, I think it would be less about how Julio performs and more about how Lamar Jackson would perform with an actual top tier wide receiver.
Yeah, I mean, I think it would definitely help him, but there's still a ton of questions around Lamar.
Yeah, I like him though. I like him. I'd take him over Daniel Jones.
I think everyone would.
I'd take Daniel Jones over Tua.
Oh my God, no! Don't get me started right now. No. Now's not the time to talk about Daniel Jones versus Tua. Come on.
All right. We'll move on. We'll move on to the New England Patriots. All right. That was the second team. The Patriots would send over a 2022 second round pick and QB Jared Stidham.
Yeah, no, I don't think that really makes sense at all.
That's what I was saying. This isn't good.
Why would the Falcons trade for Jared Stidham?
They wouldn't be trade. I mean, I think it's light on the Patriots side because all the Falcons would really be getting is just a second round pick. Jared Stidham holds zero value in this trade, and the Falcons could probably get a better QB in with that second round pick than just Jared Stidham.
Yeah, and I don't even think Julio Jones would be a good fit, and I don't think he would want to go to the Patriots, to be honest, just because I know he wants to play with a solid quarterback. I don't know if Cam Newton's not that quarterback. We don't know about Mac Jones yet, but there's other options out there that he would be a better fit on.
Yeah, this trade just doesn't really make sense to me. But to move on to the third team were the 49ers. The 49ers would send over a 2022 second round pick and a 2023 fourth round pick for Julio. I think this is the fairest trade so far. I mean, we have one more to go, but I think this is the fairest. And I also think that for Julio, this would be a great fit because it's a great organization with a great offensive mind and Kyle Shanahan. I mean, he would be the top wide receiver, and man, would that offense be scary.
The big reason that I say he could possibly go to the 49ers is he did have two very productive seasons with Kyle Shanahan as the offensive coordinator in Atlanta. So it would make sense from that standpoint. But I'm curious to see like what Julio Jones would think of Trey Lance and or Jimmy Garoppolo, whoever, the quarterback throughout the season, just because I don't think they're like at the level of quarterback play that Julio might be looking for. That would be the only thing knocking against that trade.
And which the last team is the Tennessee Titans. They said that they would trade a 2022 second rounder and linebacker Rashaan Evans. I think this is actually the second best option from what ESPN has given us.
It's a pretty fair deal, I think, for both teams. I think the Titans are another good fit for Julio Jones to pair him up with A.J. Brown, who's been actively recruiting Julio to come to Tennessee. I know Ryan Tannehill, he's not one of the elite quarterbacks in the NFL, but he's still, shown some good production. But this is actually my second favorite fit behind the Ravens for Julio.
Wow, behind the Ravens?
Yeah, I think the Ravens are my favorite fit for Julio at this point from what I feel and what I've seen. So
wow. Okay. Well, my half is done. Jett, you can go ahead and take over and give us your top 5 MLB teams. Let's see how messed up this list is.
All right, guys, we're back for another week of my MLB power rankings. We have a little movement within the rankings. There is one new team that was not in the rankings last week, but has been in it before. So let's get started.
Can I say first? Can I say
yeah,
something?
Go ahead.
It seems like whenever you put the team into your top 5, the following week they don't do good.
Well, yeah, I don't know if that has anything to do with me or that's just the nature of baseball.
No, I feel like that's with you. I think you jinxed them.
But there's a lot of positive jinxes that I'll get to shortly, like Lucas Giolito, who's been outstanding since I knocked his performance.
My man.
But it's a trade-off because now it's good for you. So now we just got to see what happens there.
All
but
right.
My number one team, up one spot to number 1, the Tampa Bay Rays, 35-21, the best record in the MLB, 8-2 in their last 10, 16 of their last 18. They finished 21-6 with a plus 72 run differential in the month of May. They swept a 2-game set with the Phillies this past week and won 2 of 3 versus the Royals. Some notable performers within this team: Austin Meadows has been on fire, 8 for 15, 4 home runs and 10 RBIs. And the May pitcher of the month, Rich Hill, has continued an unexpected dominance, allowing 5 innings of no runs in a win against the Yankees a few nights ago.
Yeah, well, I mean, the Yankees came back and won last night.
Yeah, but less about the Yankees and more about my placement of the Rays in my rankings.
I mean, they're 2 games up on the Red Sox and still 4.5 games up on the Yankees. they've gone 5-2 or 16-2. Sorry, as Jett said, since back in mid-April. I mean, damn. But do you think that they will still hold onto the AL East by the All-Star break?
I do believe they will have the best record in the AL East by the All-Star break, just because the Yankees have been pretty inconsistent. I know the Rays started off on the slower end of things, but they seem to always be able to figure it out, even without some of the bigger name stars. I mean, they traded Blake Snell, and they still have great young core and veteran pieces that keep propelling the wins every game. So why not?
I mean, they're right now on a. Oh, this may be wrong. They're close to right now about on pace to win roughly 102 games this year. Obviously, they won't keep. That would be insane if they kept up that pace. But over under 95 wins this season now.
Whew. I'm gonna say
16
slightly
more.
under. I don't think there's gonna be a team that finishes with 100 wins.
Wow.
So I still think the Rays are gonna end up winning this division. I'm concerned about the Yankees. I know you might not be, but
I'm concerned. I'm concerned. Don't get it twisted. I'm concerned, but
I feel like, just like I said, the Rays figure out a way to get things done, and I like to think I could count on them going forward.
Yeah, I mean, they've proven it more so than the Yankees. The Red Sox, you're still like waiting to see if they can keep this up by like the All-Star break, then I think they're for real. But if they like kind of limp to the break, then we may see the true form of them, but I'm not sure about that.
Yeah, so I have one quick question for you before we get to my number 2 team. So Austin Meadows and Randy Arozarena tied the team lead in hits in May with 25. Who will lead the team in hits in June? And if you need any options, I can give you them.
June. Give me some options.
Oh, you go Meadows or Randy again. You can go Brandon Lau, Manuel Margot, Joey Wendell, Kevin Kiermaier.
Do I have to pick someone other than Meadows
you could pick them to lead the team in hits again as well.
I'm gonna go Meadows.
Okay, yeah, he's been, like I said, he's been on fire lately. So we'll have to see if he can keep it up, because the Rays have a 3-game series coming up against the Rangers after they finish their 4-game set with the Yankees, and then 2 games against the Nationals. So ready to move on to number 2?
Oh yeah, definitely. Let's see who's coming in at number 2.
Coming in at number 2, one spot down from last week's rankings, are the San Diego Padres, 34-22 currently, 3rd in the MLB, 2nd in the NL. They've lost 3 straight, 2 of 3 to a very hot Cubs team, but they took 2 of 4 from the Brewers and 2 of 3 from the Astros. Tommy Pham, who started the season very slow, looks like he's now in a rhythm. He's 9 for 26 and 2 home runs with 4 RBIs his last 7 games. But a big reason they did move down a spot is because the starting pitching did hit a little bit of a rough patch this last week, despite having the best ERA in all of baseball still. So what do you think of the Padres placement?
I mean, to go more on to your the starting pitching sitting in a rough path, just the pitching overall been letting them down. I think prior to last night's game, they allowed 5 runs, 3 runs, 8 runs, 7 runs, and then another 7 runs over the past 5 games. I don't know about last night's result, but yeah, I think that we're just seeing the law of averages at the moment, because they were insanely hot around 2 weeks ago. But I mean, Tatis, man, is he back on the IL?
He left last night's game due to oblique tightness, but it was for precautionary reasons.
Okay.
But he's day-to-day right now.
Okay. I mean, right now he has 16 home runs. I think that's tied for third, because I know Acuna and Guerrero, Vlad.
Vlad hit one against my Marlins last night.
So. Oh yeah, how's the Marlins doing? I haven't seen.
Last time we talked about this, they were a game behind first, and now they're 5 games back.
Damn. Damn. Okay. What are your chances that Tatis leads the league in home runs by the All-Star break? He's only one back from first for being tied in first.
I mean, I think the biggest question for him is health. just because he's missed a handful of games this season due to various injuries and COVID-related absences. I mean, despite not playing all the games during the month of May, they announced today that he won the Player of the Month for May, so he could still produce in limited at bats. But I will say that he will be the leader in home runs by the All-Star break. I'll make that prediction right now.
I like that. I like that. Back to the pitching. Do you think that their pitching will continue to be great and being the MLB's best, or do you think this is the beginning of a decline in their pitching? Because here's the thing. We're seeing that happen right now with the Yankees. The Yankees pitching, especially starting pitching, was not like what it was on a like insane rate of success.
Yeah, so I mean, right now Blake Snell, who has a 5.55 ERA, is the worst among that rotation, but I think he is going to get better as the season goes on. I think the rest of the guys in Paddock, Darvish, Lamet, they're still going to be great. Musgrove is, I don't know why I haven't written down here, but
favorite guy.
I think their rotation is going to be fine. They're going to be among the tops in the MLB and National League for the remainder of the season. But what I would want to hear from you is, do you think Blake Snell is going to finish over or under a 4.00 ERA by the end of the year?
Okay, so
he's at 5.55 right now.
Okay, so like how many starts do we like? Four starts in the month of June?
Yeah, probably around that.
Wait, what was the question again? Was it the
over or under 4 ERA by the end of the year?
End of the year. Yeah. I'll go 4, like 4
flat.
He's at a 5.55 right now. What is he gonna get? Like 20 more starts?
Around that, yeah. Health wise too, depending on that. So
hopefully he's not on a pitching limit. But I will say that I'll go under. I think he'll correct the ship, and I mean I'm thinking like a 3.8, like not that much over. I mean one bad start deep into the season could.
So going off of my Snell question, so he actually led the team in strikeouts for the month of May, despite giving up a ton of runs and being the worst pitcher in that rotation. But who do you think will lead the team in Ks for the month of June?
I mean, I got to go with my boy Joe Musgrove. I've predicted it. I've said this will be the best pickup of the offseason, and I'm sticking with it. I think he's going to prove it.
It's looking really good so far, so you should everyone out there should give Eric a round of applause as you're listening to this right now. But that's enough praise for Eric for one show. So let's move on to number 3. We got the Chicago White Sox, who move up 2 spots in my rankings from last week. They are 33-22, 4th in the MLB, 2nd in the AL. They're 7-3 in their last 10. After getting swept by the Yankees a few weeks back, they won 2 of 3 from the Cardinals, swept a 4-game set with the Orioles. But in the series they're in the middle of right now, they lost the first 2 against the Indians with the final game tonight. Like I was saying earlier, Lucas Giolito heard me when I was knocking him for his performance up to that point in the season. Since allowing 11 earned runs in 21 innings pitched, in the most previous 21 innings pitched, he's only allowed 3 earned runs.
Yes.
And all Chicago White Sox starters have allowed 1 run or fewer 9 times prior to their 2 games against the Indians. What do you think about the White Sox?
I like it. I think they should perfect position in your rankings.
Not often I hear that one.
I know. It's hard for me to admit, but I have to admit it. I mean, this is good. I believe they're 2.5 games up on the Indians still, but I know they lost last night. They're still on a different level than the Indians. They are. I mean, I don't think it's going to be close.
They have a 95.5% chance to win the division, so I don't think it's going to be close at the end.
Is that from Fangraphs?
That's from Baseball Reference.
Okay. They're on pace to win 97 games. Sorry. Do you think that they're going to hit that mark?
Again, slightly under. Just it's a very interesting season. I think that there's not going to be one dominant team that gets to over 100 wins or multiple.
So you think it's going to be like these standings are going to be clustered?
Very clustered. Yes.
Very clustered. Okay. Wow. What's one good thing for them in the coming games is that they don't face really any tough opponents until mid-June. which then they only, I think, have like a 7-game stretch in which they face the Rays and then the Astros. But other than that, from here and then after that little rough stretch till the end of the first half of baseball, the season, they don't really face anybody, which is really good for them. I mean, that's where you stack up those wins to get that cushion that
Exactly.
you need to look for.
Exactly. And hopefully our guy Yerman Mercedes can pick it back up, because I know we've mentioned, his saga with Tony La Russa on past episodes, and Tony La Russa is still bugging me, because ever since that little incident of Mercedes swing 3-0 on the first instance, Mercedes is 8 for 52 with a 153 batting average. He is destroying the rookie of the year candidate like right now, and it's bothering the hell out of me.
Yeah, I think I think you just got to let him always have that green light, because obviously he succeeds when having that green light. There's no yellow, there's no red light for him. There shouldn't be. And
to do that to a rookie player, I don't think it was in his best interest to.
Yeah, it's hurting the confidence.
Exactly. But that's all I have to say about the White Sox for number 3. Anything else you want to add?
No, I mean, I think they're perfect position.
All right, number 4, a team that was in my rankings the first week we did this, and now they're back in after being unranked. The San Francisco Giants are back. They're 34-21, second in the MLB, first in the NL after being swept by the Dodgers, which booted them out of my rankings. They came back and took 3 of 4 from them, along with a 2-game sweep against the Diamondbacks. Despite some of these older players having surprising, impactful performances, at this point, I do think that they are not a fluke, and I do think they will be able to compete for at least a wild card spot come the end of the season.
Yeah, I mean, man, you take the Giants out for 1 week and they go out and make you put them right back in your top 5, man. I mean, they heard you, man. I don't know, through the grapevines, they heard that Jett Rosenstein had him out of your top 5.
I mean, I would be honored if the Giants were listening to our podcast. That would be great for the brand.
Oh yeah, it absolutely would. I mean, yeah, right. Like you said, right after they got swept, they went to Dodger Stadium and beat them on their own turf and took 3 out of the 4. In which, are they in first place in the division now?
Yes, they are.
Oh my gosh. Wow. That's insane right now. But I think they have let me check, because again, when I write these notes, it's still not, I got to look at their winning percentage. They have a .618 winning percentage. I mean, isn't that insane though?
It really is. I mean, like I said, like a lot of those older players have been propelling them. Like this past week, Evan Longoria, former Ray, he's been 7 for 17 this past week with 3 home runs and 8 RBIs. That's just one of these several older guys that have been producing.
Yeah, I mean, they're right now, I just wanted to calculate it, but they're on pace for 100 wins. Do you think that they're going to hit the 92 win mark?
It's tough because, like, in the back of my mind, I'm thinking about, like, no one expected the Giants to be there, and, I could keep continuing to count them out, or I can say they're going to be able to compete for a division title. But considering they're in the division with the Dodgers and Padres, and they're going to be playing each other a bunch more before the end of the season, I do think that the Giants will finish with less than 92 wins, but in the wild card hunt.
I just have a feeling that both of the wild cards are actually going to end up going to 2 NL West teams, in which we were I know for sure I was thinking that one was going to go to the one of the teams in the NL West, probably either Padres or Dodgers, and then one was going to go to the NL East, either I think the Mets or Braves.
Yes, I agree with you on that. Yep.
I mean, wouldn't it be great to see if San Diego ended up winning the division and it was the Dodgers versus the Giants in the wild card series, and then just to flip it to the AL, wouldn't it be great if it was the Yankees versus the Red Sox in the other one?
It would be pretty cool to see. Like, it's not often you get to see 2 divisional opponents in the wild card game, so it would be pretty fun to watch for sure.
Yeah, I mean, for the rest of the first half of the season, they don't seem to face any more difficult stretches ahead of them, in which I wouldn't be surprised if they end up with the league's best record again.
Yeah, one guy I do want to give props to is Kevin Gosman, who has led that rotation thus far. He's been lights out in his last 17 innings pitched. He's given up no runs with 24 strikeouts. He currently has the third best ERA in the MLB at 1.4 behind Brendan Woodruff and Jacob deGrom, and he actually won the May Pitcher of the Month as well.
For the NL
But
conference.
I have another question about the Giants for you. So Brandon Crawford led the team in home runs in May with 7. Who will lead the team in June? I can give you some options if you need.
Brandon Crawford.
Brandon Crawford led the team in home runs in May.
I want to go with my boy Mikey T, Mike Talkman, but that's no.
You could.
I could. Shout out to him. I miss.
He had that
him.
nice catch in the game against the Dodgers.
Yeah, I miss him. We could really use his help right now for center field. But give me some names. Give me
Longoria, Crawford, Slater, Brendan Belt, Buster Posey.
I'm going Brendan Belt.
Okay. I like it. Yeah, I mean, it seems like we're back in 2016 mentioning some of these names, but they're revitalized. So here we are.
They're still trucking along.
Yes, but on to number 5.
Absolutely.
All right, the last spot making the ranking, my rankings for this week, down 2 spots to number 5. It was a close call here, but I have to give the Dodgers the number 5 spot in my rankings, despite losing 4 of 5. They lost 3 of 4 to the Giants, like we just said. They're still 32 and 23, third in the NL, 6th in the MLB. Justin Turner's been providing a spark as of late for this team. He led the team in hitting with 7 for 22, a home run and 3 RBIs this past week. Max Muncy actually led the NL in home runs with 10 in the month of May.
Yes.
What are your thoughts on the Dodgers at number 5?
I think they deserve to be top 5. I think that, of course, since they just lost the series against the Giants, they don't deserve to be above the Giants. So the only real spot to fit them in is number 5. I mean, the Dodgers did the exact opposite in that right when you gave them some credit, they let you down, Jett. I mean, gosh, I mean, you have it's either or, man. It's not like set. It's either or. Once you discredit a team, they're like, oh, we're going to prove Jett wrong. Once you give them credit, they're like, okay, whatever. But I will say that they are in the middle of the roughest stretch of games in their first half of the season. They faced the Giants, and then they faced Houston, and then they faced the Giants again right now. Or no, they did. And then they are facing St. Louis, and then they got to face the Braves. I mean, so far they have a record of – did they win last night?
They lost last night.
So a record of 6-5, I believe, in that stretch. They have a record of 32 and 22 and winning percentage of 32 and
23.
Yeah. And over under 95 wins.
I'm gonna say over, but not at 100. I'm gonna just continue on that theme that they'll get 98, 99. But like I said, there's not gonna be a team that gets to 100 wins. But one thing that is going for the Dodgers, they recently got back Cody Bellinger after missing a handful of games due to injury. He's had a little rough start coming back. It's 1 for 12 with 8 strikeouts. But I do think he will get into a groove as the season goes on because he is Cody Bellinger. But one thing I want to ask you about is Mookie Betts has struggled. He hasn't performed up to his expectations. He's hitting 247 right now. Are you concerned at all with how Betts has been playing?
No. I mean, I don't think that's struggling as a Yankee fan right now. I know what struggling is, but I think it's starting to get to that period of the middle of baseball season in which, I mean, it's not like you don't really have the hypeness of the beginning of baseball. You don't really have the hypeness of, oh, it's getting close to the end. We got to win these games to get good seeding, to win the division, to get a wild card. I think it's starting to get in the muck of the middle of the baseball season in which it's kind of meticulous. And when you do something over and over again, it can get boring, and then your performance can kind of slack a little bit because you're not as amped up. You may not care as much, but I'm not worried at all. I'm not worried. I think he's going to come back.
All right, I'll just finish off with another one of my questions. So Gavin Lux, Matt Beattie, and Max Muncy tied the team lead with 19 RBIs in the month of May. Who will lead the team in the month of June?
I'm going Bellinger.
I totally agree with you on that. He's gonna find his rhythm again, and he's gonna be just fine, just like Mookie Betts. But we'll see what happens.
Yep. But yeah, guys, I mean, that was the show.
Yeah, hopefully everyone likes the new approach we're taking with the 1 episode a week show, just so guys can catch up on all of our past episodes. And also, we recently created a Twitter account for the show. The Twitter account is Gametime_Itz ITZ. So you can follow some of my tweets I'm sending out. I did have a very popular tweet sent out last week saying that the Miami Heat are not bubble frauds, which is true. So stay tuned for more tweets like that.
They absolutely are. It was proven getting swept. The Knicks didn't even get swept. We at least won a game. But yeah, that I hope you enjoyed us talking about LeBron James a little bit and how the king can't just always do it alone.
The king is a drama king. That's what he is.
No. And then we talked a little bit about Julio Jones trades, and then we got into Jets' top 5 MLB teams. We hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Jet, you got anything else to say?
No, have a great day, everyone. We'll see you next time.
Yes, in which we will see you again next Friday. Peace out, everybody.